Good morning. My name is Jim Rollins. I'm from Fort Washington, Maryland. And I'm here this morning because I'm the author of a book called The Curse of Willie Lynch. This morning we'll be speaking to you on that subject and related subjects. How many of you are familiar with who Willie Lynch is or was? Willie Lynch was a Barbados plantation owner back in the 1700s. Willie Lynch was also the architect of a social engineering project that was designed to control slaves. Back in the 1700s, slave owners in the South were having problems controlling their slaves. It had gotten to the point where they started to fear their slaves. So they needed to come up with a system that would allow them, with minimum resources, a way to control the slaves. They heard about Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch had developed a diabolical scheme to control slaves through a method that ultimately developed into a self-controlling system. He introduced this system to the slave owners in Jamestown, Virginia in 1712. It is my theory that Willie Lynch's system that he put in place in 1712 is still being acted out by black folk in America today. We're not going to get into a whole bunch, because of the sake of time, we're not going to get into a whole bunch of discussion about Willie Lynch. What I'd really like to discuss with you is the effects that we see today from that social engineering experiment from 1712. Let's get into the history of black folk in America. We'll start after the Civil War. Very few people are aware of the fact that after the Civil War, we had become a vibrant population. We had an educational system put in place by Union generals. We had a hospital system that also was an outgrowth of the Civil War. And we had a banking system that controlled millions of dollars out of New York. After the Emancipation Proclamation, it appeared that black folk in America had finally found their freedom and had finally found their path. There was a problem. The problem was that if you freed the slaves, you created an economic crisis in the South because they needed free labor to harvest the crops. So as a result, what they decided to do was to put in place a legal process that would override the Emancipation Proclamation. That legal process was called the Black Codes. Basically, what the Black Codes did was the Black Codes totally nullified all of the gains and all of the freedoms that black slaves had attained after the Civil War. We're not going to go into that in as much detail at this particular point for the